There isn't a single video on YouTube discussing what I'm about to discuss today, so I feel like it's something that we need to talk about. Today I'll be telling you the biggest Samsung TV issue in existence. So smack a like on this video because I'm just going to be getting to the point without filibustering and wasting your time. Simply put, their so-called updates are their biggest issue. Now, for those who don't know me or are new to the channel, I have been covering this since about at least 2016. Samsung and their firmware updates are pretty much notorious at this point for lowering the performance of your televisions. I have shown this with televisions like the KS8000, the Q8FN, and the list goes on and on. It's to the point where when you buy a Samsung TV, you kind of are at the mercy of whatever firmware it ships with. This makes Samsung an incredibly unappetizing purchase, or even something to consider when you know this. See, I love the way the Samsung S95B looked day one, and there's no secret I'm very sour and very upset about it. But this goes further than that. This isn't just because one TV has a bad firmware. Multiple TVs across multiple years are seeing this treatment after the reviews come out. Now that's the important thing to note here. After the reviews are coming out, positive, glowing, and they collect awards and adulation, because I'm sorry, if you can't maintain the same level of performance, it is adulation. It becomes a point where we don't really have the products that we saw when we fell in love with them, and they're changing into something entirely different, and then we just run out and buy the next Samsung product. And this cycle washes, rinses, and repeats for the longest of time. Now, this isn't a video about never update your Samsung TV. I've already made a video about that. This is a video talking more specifically about the issue of Samsung intentionally at this point lowering performance. I've seen it on TVs like, again, the Samsung Q8FN from 2018, where the brightness just gets lowered. Now, shortly after that, they come out with their R series, right? And this was a series that had really lackluster performance due to their brand new wide angle filter. And everybody and their mother in them and the journalist mill were making all kinds of excuses for it, saying that the wide angle filter was just so revolutionary. And then what happened the following year? The following year, now you hear them admit, yeah, you lose some color because of the wide angle filter. But I was saying it day one, and of course, you know what happens when you're the first person to say something negative in the room, you get called out of your name for it. But see, this is a practice that kind of annoys me with the whole Samsung ecosystem of televisions, where it's just kind of like you're always going to have to deal with these kinds of downgrades if your television upgrades. Now, again, I told you guys, again, it's all about when you put it online and things like that. But like I said, it's also about the firmware that ships. Because, again, you can have never updated your television, but if it ships on the latest firmware, and the latest firmware is leaps and bounds lower in performance than what it would have been day one, you're not going to have the same experience as somebody who would have had the day one experience that was awesome. I mean, this is such a problem that it's to the point where it's like, do you even want to buy a Samsung television at this point? And I say that because it's like when you start at such a high point, right, where it's phenomenal, some of the best TVs you could ever see day one, and then further down as we get closer to Black Friday, which, by the way, that's also intentional in my opinion, it just gets worse. And again, I really do believe that there's something going on with the way that they do their marketing, to where they know Black Friday is when prices go lower, but by then they've already created all the nerfed patches, so you're buying nerfed versions of those televisions and not getting the day one experience that the people who paid the absolute astronomical top dollar to get these brand new products paid. But then the people who paid these astronomical prices are getting them nerfed later to make them maybe see a reason to upgrade that $3,000, $2,000 65, 75-inch TV, or in some cases, again, even lower, you can go 1,500 or whatever with some of the other models. But the point being is that there's a performance dip, and that dip has been recorded year after year after year, and it's to the point where I genuinely want to say that that is probably the biggest reason for anyone watching this video right now to look at a Samsung TV and say, you know what, I'm good. Because even if you do everything right, you're still likely going to run into some problems if you buy a Samsung at the wrong time of year where they've already created their patches, or you just simply get really unlucky and you or someone in your home, your loved one, puts the television online. You're basically screwed, because once they have that online information, they will just auto update whether you want to or not. It's basically not like, why even ask you? They're going to do what they want to do. And that's the part for me also where it just becomes a very sour experience. Now again, Samsung is known for very vibrant colors, and you can have decent motion. It's not industry leading by any means, but it is decent, and it is better than what you'll find on a Sony as far as motion. I have no problem saying the truth because, again, I don't have to spoon feed you a narrative because everybody else is doing it. I will tell you the truth, and the truth speaks for itself. Samsung TVs are fantastic. There's a reason they're like the #1 market share of all the TVs right now. They pump out the most, and they do it at great prices, and at the highest end they really do deliver when they need to. But there is a problem that I think if we could collectively voice to Samsung and let them know that we know exactly what they're doing with these updates and we don't appreciate it, I think that would hold a lot more weight towards getting an improvement or something fixed down the road. I mean, if you guys recall one of my prior videos where I'm talking about the Samsung S24 Ultra and how the screen is just so much more of a downgrade than my S22 Ultra, you can see that there's just this downgrade mindset, and it's because of the social media influencing that goes on here on platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and the list goes on, Instagram, so on. It's really a problem for us as everyday people who are working hard for their money. Listen, some of us have kids. Some of us are literally like, we are lucky if we get like freaking an hour to ourselves, okay? And to sit there and have to save and save and save and do your best to make ends meet just to finally buy a product, just for a company to decide later on they're going to change the performance of it because you wanted to use it how it was supposed to be used, which is online. It gets to a point where it's like there's too much that you have to guard yourself from when you buy a product. We're paying them. They aren't paying us. And the problem is that they believe that they have the right to arbitrarily create this almost like you have to just cope with it, and you just have to be okay with it, and this like arbitrary justification system where we're making excuses for people we pay. We need to stop this behavior in society. Now, I know that I am pretty much talking to a lot of deaf ears with that one, but it would be nice if we actually did do something about it versus year after year complain, oh, my TV looks different. Oh, we're always treated like we're isolated incidents or one-off cases. And these companies get away with it because they can just say, well, we haven't heard any reports of this. Oh, we have so many positive reviews. And it creates this mindset of groupthink where just because somebody says something positive, everybody has to agree. And I cannot stand that in the way that television reviews work, if one person of a high standing, social media wise, says something, all the other ones will start following suit to get the views and to get the sponsorships. And it's just like this world of lies. We have to want better for ourselves than these spoon-fed narratives that are not honest, that don't cover real issues like the firmware problems year after year after year. But that is why I am the #1 brand in honesty, so subscribe if you like honesty. Keep watching and you'll see more of it. Thanks for watching the #1 brand in honesty, and until the next video, I'll see you guys later.